What's going on, guys? I know I've been kind of slacking on the Mototec content. I've done a whole bunch of stuff to it and I haven't really recorded it other than, maybe a few shorts. So today I'm going to give you guys a little update on what's been done to it. And then we're basically going to hopefully finish the new subframe that I'm about to show you and throw on the new plastics that I'm super stoked to show you guys. But yeah, so it's been almost 2 years since I did the Crf110 plastics on the Mototec, and I decided it's time to do something different. I'm absolutely sick of seeing Crf110 plastics on everything out there these days. And now this is something that has been done in the Razor world, but I believe this is going to be a first for the Mototec, and I can see why. It's pretty intensive. It's a little bit more advanced, this isn't really going to be a how-to, but I'm definitely going to show you guys what I did, how I got it to this point. I'm about halfway done with the subframe. I still got quite a bit left to do, and this is just for the plastics. We still have a ton left to do, like mounting the controller, wiring it up, need new forks, tires, just the whole shebang. But yeah, so as you can see, messy garage, so we're up to something today. So yeah, let me go ahead, flip the camera around and show you what's going on. Alright guys, get ready. Oof, it looks so good. Minus the welds, can't make a pretty weld to save my life. But as you can see, we got half of our subframe done here, and curious if you guys can tell what kind of plastics are going on just by the subframe. We are sticking on brand with the Crf110. I mean, obviously, you've probably seen the thumbnail and you know what it is. But we're going Crf110 plastics. So we got a nice comfy seat. We got the teal color, and I was thinking about doing a seat cover, but honestly, I'm kind of digging that color. We might even theme it that way. We got the UFO plastics, all black. Here's the rest of them right here. And then I'll go over a little bit of how I'm mocking all this stuff up. I can see we got a bunch of tape in there, and I'll explain all that here in a bit. But yeah, so basically, let's go ahead and give you an update on what all I've done to this thing. Alright, so since the last time, I think the last video, I showed you guys, I did the frame extension, or the cradle extension. We did the electro-encode drop pegs. We incorporated those. We boxed in the back end, dropped it down quite a bit. This is where the old pegs used to stick out. I've also went ahead and welded some nuts in here, so you can see these two holes right here. So these are actually for, grab these real quick. So we got some rods right here, and these are going to screw down into those, just like that. And just like that. Of course, the battery will already be in there. And then we got this little bracket here from a stock Razor, and basically, get you in frame there, that's gonna lock it down just like that, so we'll have a nice and secure battery. And then just for added precaution, I cut some of these rods down and kind of squished them around the stock battery strap tabs, so they're nice and firm in there. Same on this end right here. And then we're just going to throw a Velcro strap around it, just so I'm not relying solely on these. I could have gone a little bit harder and done more, but I think this should be more than enough. Yeah, so let's get a little close-up of what I got going on as far as the subframe. So you can see all these tubes aren't exactly straight, and I do not have a tube bender. So what I ended up doing was cutting like a bunch of notches in there, bending it in, and then welding over it. As you can see, it looks ugly as hell. Little pinholes in this, I just tried to grind it flat. But yeah, so we got a bunch of bends going on, and then we got this little bracket I cut out of some square tubing right there. And then I got these rubber bushings where the plastics actually have these little pins that push in, that hold them into place. So we're going all out on this thing. Now, let me try to give you guys a good idea of what it used to look like. So basically this bracket was right in here, just like that. So it was actually a little bit further out. I ended up cutting these down about an inch and a half, 2 inches. So yeah, this was sitting right here. I went ahead, cut that out completely, shortened these down, and then these right here used to go up just like this. You can see these are kind of bent down. So I did that to kind of get the seat flatter, and then I'll show you why I ended up keeping these. You can see I kind of widened out the holes on the end right there. So let's go ahead and grab the seat. Toss these plastics down here real quick. So if you look down at the bottom of the seat, you got your 2 hooks right there. So we'll go ahead, those slide in perfectly, just like that. And then we'll go back to our subframe. As you can see, I kind of had to drill this extra hole because the plastics weren't lining up exactly how I wanted them to. But you can see there, perfectly lined up. Plastics go over that, bolt goes in, and then see the top rail follows it perfectly, so it sits right inside of this little detent right here. Of course, we're going to have to copy that and do it for the other side here. Sorry, it's blurry. And then I wasn't trying to get too intricate with the bends, trying to go up and then back down and around. So I still got to fill in this piece right here. Basically, I'm just going to like cut this in half long ways, and then I'll put it like a little hump right in there, so it'll sit just like that right on top, weld it down real good, and we should have a nice solid base for the seat to sit down on. And then later on, if you guys seen the short, maybe I'll put a picture up right here, but I'm going to set the controller right here, and then what I'm going to do is have like maybe some studs or something coming out where the controller tabs can bolt into, and then coming around and under, we got the little seat hook right here, which is kind of going to lock the front end down from, you know, being floppy. So let's go back down to here. They've got this old piece right here, which I believe went something like this. I can't really remember. Yeah, I don't remember where this went, but I think this was the old seat hook or something as well. But yeah, so imagine the controller sitting right here, and we got a bar coming up and over, and then what we're going to do is use this as the new seat hook. So you can kind of imagine this will loop around back down into the frame, and that'll keep this nice and tight. So we're slotted in right there, sitting flat right there. We got our seat bolts down on the side right there. So we got a nice solid base for the seat with the subframe. Yeah, guys, I'm super stoked. Then the last one on the CRF50, I ended up reusing this hole right here for the stock plastics and for the CRF50 tank. Now with the CRF110, these plastics are a whole lot longer. Actually the same size as the KTM85 over there, which is pretty crazy. So a lot of it needed to be moved forward quite a bit. And the CRF110, the 19 and up models use a metal gas tank that sinks into the twin spar frame and then has a cover that goes over it, a plastic cover. So let me show you that real quick. Just like so. Now I wasn't trying to spend, you know, $100 whatever dollars on a gas tank that I'm just gonna cut up. So what we're going to do, get the seat off real quick. And then shout out to my buddy Michael. He actually did this on his Razor, and it came out sick. So I mean, huge shout out to him. He's a huge inspiration on this, as well as a couple other guys who have done some pretty cool stuff with their Mototecs. But yeah, so you can see this is just an empty shell case like this. So I'm gonna have to fill up this hole somehow, and make it, I want to reuse the stock tank, so we'll get a stock gas cap, excuse me, and then we'll do the, you know, charge port underneath it, that kind of cool stuff. So yeah, so I had to bring this up quite a bit from the hole down here. See if we can get it in frame like that. So basically what I did is I took a nut and a washer, get in there, so you can see the nut down at the bottom right there, washer on top. I went ahead and tacked the washer and nut, and then kind of just bolted it to this, sat it up where I felt like it needed to be, and then basically I just kind of tacked it, and then you can see I filled in all these big ugly welds, but it works beautifully. So I have a bolt position down at the front there, and then if you have a Mototec as well, you know these very well. These kind of support the shrouds, excuse me. So what I did, I think normally these bolt in right over here, or no, they're bolt down right here, and then they stick straight out. So what I ended up doing was reusing them. I kind of bent these tabs, you know, how I needed them to. Drilled a couple holes on the side right here. We got a bolt and a nut on the back right here. Tied these down. So that is going to support the new fender shrouds, whatever you want to call them. Same on this side, matched it up as good as I can. And basically that is how I initially started this. So as you can see, we got tape right here. Now these Crf110 plastics are a little more complicated. I say a little bit more, a lot more complicated than the Crf50 plastics, as they don't really bolt into themselves. As you can see here, I got tape holding that side together, and basically it's just got a couple little slots and notches, and you know, you can see that right there. It needs a rubber grommet. So back to what I was saying, see the little rubber grommet right there. I happen to have just one of them laying around, got more coming soon, but those holes need to be filled with the rubber grommet. That way those pins can push through and stay steady. So yeah, like I said, the tape is there. I put all the plastics together, taped it down, that way it was nice and solid. I could sit it on the bike, you know, figure out where I wanted it to sit. So real quick, let me put it all together and kind of give you an idea of what it's going to look like, and then we'll take it all back apart. We'll finish the other side, and I'll show you kind of how I went about doing this. Check it out, guys. I've been so freaking excited to show you guys this. I think it looks absolutely insane. I mean, I love how the bar runs down through like parallel with the plastics right there. It just looks so much more full. I mean, it's still missing a lot, like the motor, the bars, all that good stuff. So, you know, we'll have the battery, we'll have the custom side covers on it, all that good stuff. But just look how freaking good that looks. The seat's nice and long and wide, pretty comfy. I mean, it feels really good. And but yeah, so anyways, like I said, basically I just taped all these plastics together. You do get to bolt the seat and the side plastics together on this side and the other side, as well as a bolt right here that holds the tank cover on as well. And when I first put these on, after I taped it all together, had it, you know, somewhat sturdy. The back end was sitting like way up here, so that's why I ended up cutting all of this stuff off and bending those two subframe bars down quite a bit, just because the seat was sitting on top of that big flat piece right there, and like I said, it was just sticking up way up high. I mean, there was like a mile distance from the rear wheel to the fender, like it was way up here kind of deal. Seat was just sitting up forward like that. So that's a big reason why I taped all these together, set it down, figured out, you know, what I needed to cut out, where I needed it to sit. That way it looks proportional, it looks right. Another thing was, you know, with the QS165, I had to make this big old shock tower. So I wanted to make sure that none of this stuff was going to hit. So as you can see, that's pretty close right there, but I only have about maybe 2.5 inches of travel. As you can see, I got the shock off of it, so it's easier for me to pull it up. I can't do it without a free hand right now, but we clear perfect. We still got about an inch gap right there. So I was thinking about relocating the shock to a more upward position and hopefully getting a little bit more travel. So as it sits fully extended until it hits the subframe, we have about 4 inches of travel, which is good. This is basically going to be a street queen now. So I'm gonna do, you know, street tires. It's gonna be my little wheelie bike. And then the B1, we'll probably throw that back to dirt mode, or get some E-box wheels for it. That way we can street it too. And I do mostly wheelies anyways. But yeah, guys, I'm freaking stoked about this. Looks so dang good. So yeah, I'm not sure if I should end the video now, or I don't want to make a hour-long video, you know, kind of doing the subframe. But I can kind of show you guys how I figured out what I needed to do. So basically what I did, yeah, I'm gonna have to take these plastics off to show you guys, aren't I? So let's see, maybe we'll go to this side. So I just went down in there and here, let me take the seat off. Well, let's start from here. So after I cut the subframe and got it nice and level to where it looked good on the bike, the first thing I went ahead and did, like I said earlier, is I wanted to mount this in the correct position where, you know, I'm not going to be able to steer into the tank. I will still have to make some stoppers right here. There's a little bit too much turn angle on this, so I'm going to stop it right before, but still plenty of turn angle. So yeah, like I said, I went ahead and I made my little washer and bolt, got this to where, you know, it wasn't like twisting and making these look all funny kind of deal. Then of course we got our front shroud pieces right here, so that way it really solidified the front of the bike. And then from there I could worry about doing the top subframe piece. And then let's go ahead, take the seat off, and I will show you guys. Alright, now you guys can see the top bar of the subframe. I had the seat on this for it, but this is going to be key in getting this thing proper. So as you can see, this tailpiece is basically it's stand alone. It doesn't really attach to anything. Basically, it just, once you clamp the seat down to the side plastics, it'll hug the sides like that. So the subframe is going to be key in putting this together. So as you can see, we got our bar running straight across, bending up to where it meets the bottom of the seat. And then I have my little bracket here I welded on and put a hole through. That way you can bolt it in the back just like that. And then again, keeping all of the plastics together, and then just kind of grabbing my bar, and I kind of put it up in there. I measured, you know, about roughly how long I needed to be. I got a bunch of 3-foot sticks. I think it was like 15 inches. And like I said, I just put the bar up there. I held it flat up against the back right here. And then from there, I kind of figured out, well, I need to bend it this way, I need to bend it that way, I need to come back down. And then, let's see if I can show you guys this. So you can see right there, we got our little square bracket with our rubber bushing. And let's see, come on, pull. So you can see that fits perfectly just like so. And that's going to keep the plastics from collapsing in while you're sitting on it, like pinching with your knees, stuff like that. So really it was just a lot of eyeballing. Like I said, I was cutting notches into these to bend them, and then welding the notches back together, and just kind of snaking it to where I needed it. Let's go ahead and pop this off. And then down here you can see where I cut this. Show you on the other side real quick how I cut this piece right here. Basically what I did was take a smaller piece of tubing and I cut like a, what is that, like a 70-degree angle, something like that, and welded it back to the top of this to meet up with the end of the top subframe. Now obviously if you have a bender and you're skilled, you can make this all in one piece, but I am far from that. But yeah, so they meet up right there, and then they weld on the bottom of the original subframe top pieces. Come back, then we have a nut right here that I welded on for the seat. Then right back to the little bracket I made. And then down at the bottom of the little fender plastics, you can see it runs through the bottom of the top bar, comes down, and then it kind of grabs on. You can see the little tabs right here where the bar runs through, and it kind of snaps into place. So I basically cut a little bend right there to get it going down where I needed it to. The nice thing about notching these to bend it is you can kind of unbend it, bend it back together, and kind of get the right angle, where a tube bender, it's kind of go a little bit, check it out, go back, bend it some more, and if you bend it too far, you might be able to save it by hammering it out, but it's a little bit more of a process. But yeah, so we bent it down, straight down to where we were locked into place, but not hitting our top of our shock mounts. And then we got it bent in, and then towards the frame where I have it welded down at the bottom here. So yeah, hopefully that kind of explains how I put all this together. I'm going to go ahead and maybe I'll show you guys a couple little bits here and there, but I'm going to go ahead, copy that, and get the second side of the subframe on there. And then from there, we're going to be bracing it, putting like flat steel all the way across. Another thing I need to do is, you can see down here, without some sort of support, these are going to be floppy. So probably going to take another piece of tubing and just kind of drop it down to where I can put a little mounts or whatever on it, bolt it in. As you can see, this side has a little bolt. So, just kind of like, imagine it like rear sets on a Honda Grom or something, or a street bike, where it just pops out, got the little bracket, and then these can pop right into place and kind of keep these out of the way of the swing arm. But yeah guys, it's all lining up super good. Super stoked how this is coming out. As you can see down in here, got so much room for the controller, and then like I said, we're gonna have that piece come up and act as kind of like a little sleeve for the seat to slide into. Super stoked. Sorry I suck at explaining all this stuff, but I figured I'd film it regardless. That way you guys can kind of get an idea and maybe try to do this yourself. I'm going to try to get you in here with me. So I have my bar pre-cut to a little over what I actually need. Now again, we need to come back to the back hole right here where we're going to weld our tab off of this. So what I'm going to do is kind of stick this back here, pop these plastics out the sides, and then we have our little seat notch right here where we want the bar to sit flush. Now it's kind of hard to see, but we have our second little seat notch that kind of curves in. So right in between where this seat notch is and the second one is where we need to start bending in, I'm going to mark a couple lines right here. So as you can see, we have our lines right there. So basically I'm just going to take a grinder and I'm going to go about a little less than 3/4 all the way through this. That way I can bend it in and put it back in. That way this thing will have a nice little curve to it. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. All right, and then you can see we have our notches right there, which is going to make this super easy to bend in. Now we got to figure out, I'm going to throw it up in there. We kind of keep it out of the way of everything. Tuck this back into position. And then from there, we basically just want to make sure our bend is at the right angle and pointing towards where we want it to. So you can see this is just about perfect. This side is definitely a bit more of a pain in the ass than the other side. I don't know if you guys can see that up there. We're bent over, and then we're heading for right at the tip of my finger, right there. We're trying to end up right underneath that. And then from there, we're going to bend it back over. And so we're going to go this way, and then we want to bend it back over and then head straight for the black bar right there. Well guys, unfortunately it started storming like crazy, so I did have to shut the garage. So you can see it's encroaching in on me, but I opened it up real quick so I could get a little bit better lighting for you guys. But yeah, so this is my final piece I ended up with. So you got all these little notch cuts and bends. Welded my nut on there for the seat. But this right here is 2 pieces, so I got my little elbow bend and then I attached it right there. Fitment is pretty terrible, but you know, we're doing what we can. But yeah, so basically, like I said, just put your plastics on, you make your little pieces, you make your bends, have it follow. You know, we need to go from the back of this hole right here to come back up under the little seat notch little thingy, under this seat little notch thingy, and then I put a little elbow up under here to go directly under here. That way I can still use these for the little slide in tabs and then attach it together. So pretty, I mean, it's not easy, and like I said, this ain't really the proper way to be doing this, but I'm gonna weld the hell out of it. Should be nice and solid. We'll brace it, all that good stuff. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and weld all this together, and then from here, once I finally tack this and weld it into place, I'm going to go ahead and bend it up or down wherever I need to. That way I can make sure the back is straight. So you can see how it's kind of droopy, so I'll bend it up, make sure it's nice and flat, make sure the seat's nice and flat, all that good stuff. And then from there we will do the bottom support like this side. So we'll come from up under here, come down straight through these right here, and then we will bend it inwards and then to the bottom of this frame right here. You know, the storm going crazy back there. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to it, weld this all up, tack this into place, make sure it's straight, get my bottom brace, and then from there we're about 90% done with the subframe. And like I said, we'll have to make some little tabs coming off to get these side plastics nice and firm. Cool, and get to it. Here's the result after finished welding and, you know, kind of grinding it all down to make it look like one piece. It ain't the prettiest, but we got our nut welded, and you can see the bend right there. And then basically all we got to do now is go ahead, toss this back in the bike, line it up however I need it. If I need it high, low, weld it in. And then of course we'll weld it to the bottom of this as well. And then from there, what I'll do is take the back piece off right here, and then I will cut down this as needed, and then I'll weld my little tab to it. But first thing I'll do is, once I pull this off, I'll put my little tab up against it so I can mark it from the back. I'll drill a hole through it. You can kind of see it. It's sitting right over there. And then of course that's going to go to the back of this. And the goal is to just get this thing nice and level. We want it straight on, if you understand what I mean. So we don't want it, you know, crooked this way or this way. We want it nice and straight, nice and level. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and toss this on, weld it real quick, and you know, get everything all dialed. Bars welded up pretty good. I'd say, damn, that's a pretty good job. Copied it pretty well. So yeah, now I've got my little tab, already drilled the hole, grinded it down a little bit to make it look kind of pretty. And what we want to do now is shove this into place like so. And then from here, I kind of want to figure out how I want this. Now I noticed that it's sticking out a little too much, so I'm going to have to cut some of that off. But we want to get it nice and straight. Basically straight this way, and then nice and flat top to bottom like so. So I'll kind of just cut a little bit off, step back, eyeball it, do the same thing, and then from there I'll go ahead and tack this into place, make sure I like it. I'll bolt this other one up, put the seat on it, maybe put the plastics on real quick, just to double check that everything's straight and it doesn't look like this or like crooked or anything once it's all said and done. Now if I do need to move it up or down a little bit, I still have some play in this bar right here until I make my little bottom bar. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead, cut a little bit of this off and get this tacked on, and then I'll bring you back to show you how it looks. Well, I think I'm pretty happy with this. Zoom out real quick, pull the seat off, got my little thingy, my little tab spot welded real quick. I still got to go through, weld everything down there and weld this up here. But if we go back here, what do you guys think? That looks pretty flat to me. Looks like it goes on pretty straight. I think I'm happy with that. And we got our seat. So we got our little nut right there. Got a little nut right there. Slides in beautifully. Let's say that seam is pretty good. Maybe a little bit of a gap right here, but it doesn't look like it's pointing that way at all. So I think we might run it. I mean, these plastics, they don't really line up too well to begin with, so I'm just trying to get it as close as possible. But I'd say that looks pretty flat, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and weld it up. Like I said, if I do need to like move the seat down a little bit, I still have a little bit of flex, and when I'm working down the bottom bar, I can kind of pull it down and then weld the bottom bar, so it'll kind of suck it down or suck it up if it needs it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish welding this up, get it nice and tight on there, and then we'll go ahead and start with the bottom bar. Look at that, the tail is now floating on by itself, which makes it super easy to get the next piece on. So like I said, I got to match this bottom piece right here. See, I've already got my little notches cut and bent down. And then fortunately this one's super easy. I just got to make some notches right here. I'm going to cut this a little longer than I need to. Probably like, I don't know, maybe a ½ inch into it. That way I can like cut a little notch in there so the fitment is a little bit better, because welding gap sucks. So yeah, I'm just going to kind of eyeball where I need to. Cut a couple notches right here, bring this down, bend it into where I need to. That way, you know, we're lining up into our little slots right there, and then curving in straight into the frame. And then yeah, we're about 90% done with the subframe. And then like I said, I need to make some bars to come down, and then I'm going to add these little boxes with the rubber grommets right here. Let me see if I could show you better now that the plastics are off. But that little piece right there, that's what that little grommet's for. Do one for this side, and then there's some more on the like the little side panels right there. But the side panel ones, they come down like right over here, and we need them out away from the swing arm. That way the swing arm has room to go up and down. And of course, like I said, I was paying attention to how much travel I have, because obviously too much and I'm hitting right there, but fortunately my travel ends like an inch, inch and a half before that. But yeah, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this sucker done, get it welded on, get my extra little tab here welded on. I still gotta wait for the grommets to come in, hopefully tomorrow, but worst case scenario, I'll have the rest of this done next week, and then I'll make a separate video on it. A little bit of trouble trying to match this up. As you can see, it's a little droopy right there, but not a big deal. That's all covered with the plastics anyways. I'm gonna cut my little slice off of one of the pieces and weld it on, kind of make it like that. No, this looks like just a big old blob back there, but basically it just keeps water and stuff from going in, completely seals this tube off. That way it's not getting all rusty on the inside after I paint it. But yeah, check it out. Just about finished as far as the all the bending and whatnot. So I'll end up putting some straps across here to make this nice and solid and keep these from like spreading and twisting. And right now I'm gonna go ahead and make my other little box. Let's see if I can find the piece real quick. Here we are. So I got my little box right here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it at the line, and then I'll drill my hole, put my little grommet on, line it up with the plastics over there with it on, get it on this side right here. Of course, I do need to finish welding this bottom bar right here. And then I think from there we'll probably end this video off. I'll throw all the plastics back on, and then the next video we'll get the controller mounted and then the top piece for the seat to slide into. And as far as the plastics and controller mounting, we're completely done. We got the battery strap done. From there it's basically, you know, making some side panels, getting new forks and stuff, cleaning it all up, getting some nice tires, cleaning the QS165 back up, and then from there we can get a wiring video. You guys wanted to see the Flipski 75 450 hooked up, so we're going to do a full wiring video for this. We're just going to get rid of this harness and do like a whole 12-volt system as well. But yeah, so let me go ahead and finish this up. We'll throw the plastics back on, get some beauty shots, and call it a day. Take a look. What do you think about that fitment right there? Let's go ahead, check out the seams. That looks really good. Check out the fitment right there. Looks pretty good. Of course, once we get our little hook thing, we'll have it suck that down, but sit nice and tight. This I mean, it doesn't really follow the curve of the seat too well to begin with. And we'll go to this side. Like I said, we'll suck that down. Just fits so good. And boom. Seat lines up with our nut. Boom. Seat lines up with our nut. That one's a little hard to see, but it's lined up. Pop our seat off. And we have our little box with our grommet tacked into place. And of course, like I said, those two holes will line up with our little tabbies right there. Everything's just lining up super good, guys. I'm stoked. Alright, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead, take all this back off again. It's been a whole process, taking things off, putting them back on, taking them off, just to make sure everything fits and lines up beautifully. Now, of course, it might not look pretty when you look at up close, but like I said, all the plastics are pretty much gonna cover all that stuff up anyways. Man, I'm super stoked to ride this thing. Guys, we're going to end off this video here pretty soon, but I wanted to show you a couple things that I thought were very satisfying. So we got our both our bottom bars all welded up. Check that out. That's full travel, and we still have about, I don't know, I'd say like a good 1.25 inches left. So if I really wanted to somehow get a longer travel shock, definitely can. And then the next thing, we got our little side brackets here with our grommets done. Go ahead, pop that in, just like that. This one in. And look how solid this stuff is in here, man. So freaking good. And of course, we got our back in place right there. I went ahead and welded these little bumps in right here. Those are going to sit, grab the seat, those are going to sit right here on these little bumps. You can see the little black scuffs right there. And then the top bars will sit on those. Oh man, this thing came out good. My back hurts. Go ahead, slide this in just like so. Line up our bolt holes just like that. And we got this one just like that. That fitment is looking good, guys. Hell yeah. This thing definitely needs a wipe down. My greasy paws all over it. Bitchin'. Let me go ahead and grab my little side cover real quick. We'll pop that on. Slide that up under here like so. Pop that in. Just like that. Get my little Allen bolt on. Screw that in just like so. Can y'all see that? Look at that fitment, so damn good. Cool deal. And we'll go to the other side. Alright, grab my other side cover. Pop that on like so. Find my hole. Oh man, I need to wash the shit out of this thing. It's covered in dust. Just like that. Alright, like I said, next video we'll work on getting this to clamp down so we get that fitment good, get the controller mounted. Let's see what else we need. Oop, get that over. We still need to go down here and we need to make some points for right here and right up under there. So we'll have like a bar coming up from the top and down. Same with that side. But yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Hell yeah, guys, I am absolutely stoked. Whew. Alright guys, I'm absolutely soaked in sweat, covered in metal dust, and if you guys stuck around, I know this is probably going to be a super long video. I really appreciate you. And yeah, this was a lot of fun, came out awesome, ready to get this thing together. Still have a long road ahead of us for sure, but I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.